Hi again from the garden. It's going to be another super busy week out here in the garden. I'm pretty much getting as much in the ground as possible. I already have a lot in the ground, and I actually planted quite a bit over the weekend that I didn't set the camera up for, so I'll give you guys an update on that. But what I'm working on today is a bunch of direct sowing. So I have a bunch of zinnias that I'm going to be direct sowing. I also planted a whole bunch of zinnia seedlings this weekend, which I'll show you. But I am also going to be direct sowing a bunch of zinnias because they grow so well that way in this area. In fact, last year I only direct sowed my zinnias, and so this year I will be that much more ahead of the game because I actually started them inside and planted seedlings. I also want to direct sow a bunch of buplurum. I have some cress and some dara here. So before I get started on these, let me show you quickly what I got planted over the weekend. So this is one of the planting areas that I did over the weekend. This is all celosia, and these are all planted 12 inches apart. I have maybe 6 different varieties planted in here, so these should be absolutely beautiful by July. And this is the area of the garden that definitely changed a lot over the weekend. If you remember right, this was where I had a bunch of my tulips planted. I have since then obviously cleaned them all out because they're done for the season. I covered this entire area with landscape fabric, burned holes in. These are all 9 inches apart, and all of the plants in the ground behind me are all my zinnia seedlings. Now, I have quite a few open holes left, and that's where I'm going to be direct sowing my zinnias. I also forgot to mention I'm going to direct sow all my sunflowers today. Well, that is my first succession planting of sunflowers. And if you can see the end of the bed behind me, that's still open space, which also needs weeded. That is one of the spots where my dahlias are going to go. So I think first I'm going to get started on my buplurum. So let me show you where that's going. So this is the area where I'm going to be direct sowing my buplurum. All of these plants behind me, that is all the buplurum seedlings that I planted that I had started inside. And boy, have they really put on some growth. Now I still need to put my floral netting over these before they get too much taller because I don't want them to fall over when they start getting some height on them, but they are really looking amazing. So then this small area here, this is going to be a second succession planting of buplurum. These holes are all 6 inches apart if I remember right. I'm also going to be planting some more out in a raised bed that I still need to put together just so I have a third succession planting of them. But this small patch will be another really nice second succession planting. So the buplurum that I'm planting, it is called green gold buplurum. My seeds come from Johnny's, and to direct seed, it says cover the seeds with 1/4 inch of soil, and then you can thin when the first true leaves appear. So I'm probably gonna put, I don't know, maybe 3 to 4 seeds per hole, and then maybe thin it to 2 when they start to appear. So I first need to clear some of the weeds out of here. This is my first year using a lot of landscape fabric, and I am sure glad I did so because the weed pressure is just crazy. I'm just gonna kind of loosen up the soil in these holes first. And this soil has all been amended before I did put this landscape fabric down. I use an organic garden soil. It's by Nature's Care. Google it. It's got all kinds of really good things in it. Kelp meal, bone meal, worm castings. So there's a lot of nutrients that get added in the ground. But I'm just gonna direct sow these as if I was starting them in a seed tray. So I'm gonna make just a little bit of a hole. Drop a few seeds in my hand. Actually, there's probably 6 there. Let's sprinkle them in and then lightly cover it up. So it's pretty easy. I'm gonna go ahead and get this area planted. I'm gonna water it in thoroughly, and then we're gonna move on to the cress. Okay, so this little spot is going to be where my first succession planting of cress will be. I plan to do another succession planting out in a raised bed where the buplurum will go, but this is where I'm going to put a little patch of my first succession planting. Now I need to go ahead and burn the holes in my landscape fabric for this, but these are going to be placed at 6 inches apart. So the way that I burn my holes is super simple. Well, let's measure 6 inches. So this is just a butane torch that I got off Amazon. It's one that is actually for the kitchen, which people use for like creme brulee, things like that. So I'm just gonna burn my holes with this. They're gonna be about 2 to 3 inches big. 1, 6, 12, 18, 4. All right, and that's it. So they're gonna be 6 inches apart this way and 6 inches apart this way. So I'm just gonna go ahead and burn this grid and then we'll get the seeds in the ground. 12. Okay, all of my holes are made. Using that method goes super quick. I do have a video posted exactly how I burn my holes and then the spacing for a lot of things, so make sure to check that out. But it has worked really well for me so far this year. Anyway, this cress that I am direct sowing, which direct seeding cress is definitely recommended. Again, these are from Johnny's, and it says to sow as soon as the soil can be worked. So I am pretty late on getting these planted this year. Next year, I want to put them in probably about 6 weeks ahead of this. But it also says cover the seeds with 1/4 inch of soil. So I'm just going to go ahead and get these in the ground, and then I will show you the zinnias. Okay, so this is the area where all of my zinnias are going to be direct sowed. You can see all of the seedlings behind me are my zinnia seedlings. I just got those planted over the weekend. I'm excited to have these all planted in landscape fabric this year, and I have burned my holes 9 inches apart. And so in this succession planting of zinnias, I'm doing mostly the Bennery's Giant series and mostly the darker colors that I think will look good in the fall, like the deep purple, wine, deep red, golden orange, or golden yellow, orange, whatever those are called. But then I am planting some of the cactus variety, which I have, these are all from Select Seeds. Of these I have Sun God, Senorita, Inca, and Lilac Empress. And then I'm doing a few from the Queen Lime series, which are always awesome. I'm planting orange for the first time this year, and then I have Queen Lime Red and Queen Lime with Blush. So I'm gonna get these planted exactly how I did the other ones. I'm just gonna make a little hole. I'm gonna drop 2 seeds in, cover it with soil. These need to be also about 1/4 inch under the soil. And then I will be thinning these once they get probably a couple sets of leaves. I'm gonna be thinning them to 1 seedling to the strongest one because I don't want the zinnias to compete with each other. So I'm gonna get these planted and then I'll show you my sunflowers. Okay, so the varieties of sunflowers that I'll be planting today are mostly the Pro Cut series. That is mostly what I grow. Pro Cut sunflowers are a single stem sunflower. They are also pollenless, which is perfect for bouquets because then your client does not get all the pollen dropping on their table or wherever they have their bouquet displayed. Now, also the varieties that I'm planting today are more of summer colors. Now, varieties like the Pro Cut Plum or the Pro Cut Red, I'm saving those for fall because those go better in fall bouquets. So the ones that I am growing today, I think are more spring summer varieties. So I have the Gold Light, I have the White Night, I have a Pro Cut Peach, which I have never grown before. I'm really excited to see what that looks like. I have the Orange Excel, I have the Pro Cut Brilliance, I have the White Light and the White Night, and then more Gold Light, I already said that one. I have the Double Dandy, and then I have the Apricot Daisy, which is branching sunflower, so I'm probably not gonna plant very much of that, but those are gonna go on the very end of the bed where they will be more out of the way. And then I do have one tiny bag of the Sunflower Steve sunflowers. So I'm gonna be popping some of these in the ground also. And these are going to be planted throughout all of my succession plantings. So I have just a few here and there throughout the summer. I can't wait to see how these bloom. Okay, so here is the bed space that I made last year. It's against the neighboring building, which is a co-op building. It is 3 feet deep and 96 feet long. So it doesn't look like much, but this is a ton of planting space. So last year I grew pumpkins along here, which I'm going to this year, but I also want to utilize this for sunflowers. So I'm going to plant at the very back along the edge of the building. I'm going to have one long row of sunflowers, and then my pumpkins are going to be dotted here and there in front of that. All my pumpkins will grow outward and my sunflowers will get started just in time that the pumpkins will not hinder their growth. And since this is on the south side of that metal building, these are going to germinate fast because of the warmth, and they should also grow really fast too. So I'm going to get started planting these. All of my sunflowers I'm going to plant just 4 inches apart. The closer together you plant your sunflower, the smaller the head is on the sunflower. And I want these, you know, a relatively small size for when they go into bouquets. So I'm going to get these planted, and I will let you know how many I fit in this bed after I get them in the ground. Okay, all of my sunflowers for that first succession planting are seeded. I fit exactly 200 pro cuts in that space, plus 5 of the branching apricot sunflowers. That is going to be a really awesome first succession planting of sunflowers. Now, most of the pro cuts generally are about a 60-day maturity, so I should have those the end of July. And you know what? Because it's on the south side of that metal building, they might even grow faster. So I'll make sure to keep you guys updated on the sunflowers and everything else that I direct sowed in this video. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys. So stay tuned. We'll see you soon.